You're right. Michael Moore has his shticks, like, in other movies, like he was against the Westboro Baptist Church, so he showed up with a bus full of gay dudes, and they did all kinds of activities on the driveway of the Westboro Baptist Church.
What kind of
makes you laugh, right?
What kind of activities? I haven't seen this. I don't think, Robert. Could you?
Yeah, can you paint me a picture?
I'm just even,
Yeah,
like were they playing Twister, having board games?
Yeah. You will see.
You could call it Twister.
They were playing Twister. Yeah.
You know what? I just generally don't put much effort. I just like. let me finish that thought. I put in the effort when it counts, but it's reciprocated thing. You know what I mean? Like you feel somebody's energy, and if they're not putting forth that effort to get to know you, then I'm too fucking lazy, and I probably won't put forth that much effort to get to know you if you don't want to know me. And if you're not even in the truck.
And if you're using like diesel fuel.
Yeah, and you have to have the truck nuts.
Yeah, and it has to have like one of those big fucking stacks that like comes out the back and is like as big as your forearm.
All right.
Spews oil everywhere.
Well. All right. Well, episode 1, Three Guys with Ideas. We got Robert.
Kalen.
Martin.
Excellent. We've been a group of friends here for a little bit. Known Martin for 22 years. Kalen for
2 days.
Well, in context, yeah.
We found him downtown Victoria the other day.
Yeah, he got evicted from Tennessee.
I was just looking for a place to stay.
Yeah. So
we thought he was a cool guy.
Yeah, he's all right. So we don't know what this podcast is really going to turn into, but we figured we'd start at episode 1, and maybe there'll be an episode 2. So, Three Guys with Ideas. If you're easily offended, if you are going to feel the need to blast us on social media for being disrespectful, go for it.
Please do. We would love the publicity. Publicity's
great.
Yeah.
Ideas are something that we're all allowed to have, and go screw yourself if you don't like our ideas.
and just adding on that note, not all ideas are actually good ideas either. It's a fluid thing, and these ideas flow, and we like to grow.
But our ideas are good.
Hopefully.
But in all seriousness, you're not going to agree with everything we have to say, and that's okay. And we understand that not everything we say is gospel, so do take that into account.
And we're not going to do this disclaimer ever again. So if you listen to our second podcast and not this one, well, you're on your own. So how this is going to work is we're going to talk about some topics that each of us brought to the table. And I guess we'll kind of start off where this all started. We're in my car yesterday. We were all talking about how we all wanted to start a podcast, but none of us got off our lazy asses to do it. So we finally challenged ourselves, and here we are. We got a nice, beautiful Yeti microphone, a laptop that's recording this, and coffee's on the go. Hopefully some alcohol in about 20 minutes.
I'm already started, buddy.
Oh, you are started. Excellent. So we each brought a topic. I think our first topic, though, today is the three of us went and saw the new Michael Moore 11/9 movie. And we figured we could do a bit of a review, share our thoughts. What Michael Moore movies have you guys seen?
I think I might have seen all of them. Like
Roger and Me?
Yeah, I think a long time ago. Yeah.
Bowling for Columbine?
I've seen Bowling for Columbine. Yeah.
Fahrenheit 9/11?
Absolutely. Yep.
Sicko?
Yes.
Capitalist Love Story?
I don't think I've seen. Is that a
Oh,
new
it's
movie?
excellent.
Okay,
Excellent.
okay.
You should watch that one, yeah.
Actually-
and then now 11/9. Which ones have you seen?
I haven't seen Sicko or the one you were just, but I watched Bowling for Columbine and Fahrenheit 9/11, and yeah, I mean, it's always good commentary on what's happening in the world, so for sure.
Totally. I watch Michael Moore every time he's on like Real Time with Bill Maher and CNN. Like he's interviewed often, so
Yeah,
I
when
appreciate
he
it.
was on Colbert, it was insane. Like when he went in there was such a huge round of applause, and like when he did this whole bit about how Democrats should have won because of the Electoral College, people were just freaking out and giving him applause. So yeah, for sure, he's definitely got a lot of people following him.
Oh, totally. Well, and he went on Bill Maher, and he was like, when everybody was laughing, saying Trump was never going to win, he was the first person to say Trump is going to win, and not calling him a prophet or anything, but
That's a little bit prophetic.
it's prophetic. But he called it. He said the America that the left wing likes to pretend isn't really there was going to come out in droves, and they sure did. With the help of some Russian collusion, possibly. So yeah, Kaylin, we'll start with you. What did you think of the flick? What did you like? What did you not like? Did you learn anything?
Yeah, I think that's one thing we were talking about a little bit before we started the podcast. Is we were kind of expecting to learn something when we saw this movie, but a lot of the stuff in there was kind of stuff that we'd already sort of heard in the news. I guess a little bit of it is because we're paying attention more because really this shit show is the news media today. Is so entertaining, so we've pretty much already sort of seen it all. I didn't learn too much. Like I was saying, I learned a little bit more about the early history of Nazi Germany, because they had a little bit of that in there, and that was quite interesting. I thought the comparisons that he drew towards the president in this presidency, and then also I didn't know about the stuff that happened in Flint with Obama, because I actually really liked the guy. I thought he was a great president, but to see that that was eye opening and honestly terrible. I can't understand how that was the PR move that they wanted to go with. The fact that he goes to Flint and all these people are upset about the lead in the drinking water, and then he just wants to get up there and do this stupid gimmick of drinking the tap water.
And how much do you want to bet that was bottled water?
Oh, dude, that was
I don't know though. It didn't look like he drank it. He just put his lips on it.
Yeah.
Even then, he's scared of the bottled water too. I guess. I don't know.
all I saw was somebody who was supposed to be very thirsty for a glass of water. He didn't take a very big drink. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, he did say this isn't. He said this isn't a gimmick.
It's not.
Yeah.
I just want a glass of water.
What a
and he
guy.
let the water touch his lips and take it down.
When somebody says this isn't a gimmick, usually it's a gimmick. Just saying.
Very disappointing.
So us being, I guess you could say, more, in tune with what's going on in the political environment out there. Do you think this movie will help people who maybe just spend all their time on Snapchat rather than the news? Do you think it might educate some people?
That's hard to say. I mean, I think people who are probably going to go see this movie are people who already are paying attention to these sorts of topics and issues. I hope that maybe the message comes through to this younger generation, because I don't know, I believe that those are the ones who are actually going to change things and bring about change. And to me, that's what the movie was kind of about, is letting people know the situation and where things are at, and really putting that call out there for change. So I hope that that's going to come across to those people who might not necessarily be as keen on seeing Michael Moore normally, but
Yeah, it's when you look at Bowling for Columbine, that movie was about gun control in America and the stranglehold the NRA had on its politicians. You look at Sicko, that movie was about the world's healthcare systems in comparison to the U.S. and just how messed up the U.S.'s healthcare system was. Same with, Fahrenheit 9/11 was about the events of 9/11 and the actions of the administration. This movie, I couldn't even give you a synopsis of what this movie was about. It covered Trump, it covered Flint, Michigan. It went back and forth between the Clinton, the Obama, and then now the Trump administration, and it bounced back and forth.
And gun control again as well.
Yeah, it did gun control again. It did, it covered a little bit of healthcare. It covered it covered the Bernie Sanders debacle of how Bernie was pretty much cheated out of his win. So it just essentially, to be blunt, it was just a movie of a highlight reel of showing just how fucked up everything is in America.
Yeah, it kind of felt like, from my takeaway anyway, it felt like he was more nodding towards democratic socialism. Like he's trying to say that it's not a bad thing. A lot of people in the news are saying that people are leaning too far left now, and that's the problem and why Democrats are losing the elections. It felt like in this movie he was kind of saying, no, we can be democratic socialists and still win. Because it sounds like he's really far left, which I'm okay with.
Oh, Michael Moore definitely is.
Right, but it sort of seems like that was a part of the movie, was like, hey, we can be super far left and that's okay. We can rule the country being really far left. And also just sort of felt like, it's almost like they were like hating on capitalism a little bit.
Big time. Capitalism, a love story was just like, he just took a giant crap all over what the U.S. capitalist system is.
It was intriguing though, because like me and Martin, what we were talking about is like, why wouldn't you then suggest something, I guess, to put in place? Because it's like, here's what's wrong, but there wasn't really any like proposed solution of like, here's what we should do instead. So that was a bit odd to me, because pointing out problems doesn't really help anything. You got to propose solutions.
Yeah, I guess like that was kind of the thing that I noticed, is it didn't really set forth a clear direction for change. I mean, it just kind of brought everything together and said, here's the situation, where we're at right now. Things need to change. And I don't think there are a lot of people out there who will deny that things need to change, but it didn't really give much of a vision towards how to get there, which would have been nice, maybe a little bit more inspiring than just But
well, let's say this: we're three guys with ideas, so let's come up with a solution. Like, give one thing you would change like immediately if you were ruler of the world for a day. What would be the one thing you change in the U.S. system?
Yeah, that's a tough one. And just before I say that, I do think, like, on your last question about whether or not this will like touch people who are going to the movie, like whether or not it's just people who already know all this stuff. In the movie theater, we actually heard a lot of people that were like, "Oh, really?" So like, it did seem like there was a lot of people.
Yeah, there were a lot of like oohs, ahs, ohs.
Yeah,
like,
which surprised me.
And then the applause afterwards. When's the last time you went to a movie that got applause?
Yeah, that one guy was really into it.
Yeah.
He's like stood up and standing ovation, which was crazy. And I think as well, like I think back to like when I watched The Big Short for the first time. Like it's one of those movies that's so entertaining and explains the problem that I can show to my friends and they'll enjoy. And I think that's sort of the same thing Michael Moore tried. It's entertaining, no matter how you look at it. The movie was entertaining. And you can show that to your friend and then maybe educate them if they're not interested in politics or what's going on in the world today. So I do think that's super important. If I was like ruler of like North America or
one day,
God,
and then you have to give up the throne.
Man, what would I change? Like I would kick Donald Trump out. It's the first thing I would do. Like it's just, man, like, as much as Republicans argue that, things are changing for the better. And I watch both. I watch Fox News and CNN, not that either of them I enjoy, but I like to give both sides a chance, and I think sometimes both make equal arguments, and the Republicans just keep clinging to this, well, the economy is better and we're getting rid of regulation and all these things, but it's just not worth sacrificing the integrity of the United States. So I think you need to get Trump out of there ASAP and get someone in there who can at least formulate a sentence.
Like George Bush? No, just kidding.
Hey man, I'll take George Bush any day over Donald Trump.
Who would have ever thought that we would say that? Like like a couple months ago I said to myself that Bush was better than this, and that's scary, because that's when I got super political, was after 9/11 and Bush. So I don't know. Well, Martin, what would you change?
What would I change, man? There's so much that I would change.
Like, what's the solution that like a 21-year-old American kid can work on?
Well, I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that people can do, in their daily life, which does make a difference. I mean, that to me is the saddest thing, is when, I hear somebody say that they can't make a difference. And I think that's a little BS. You can make a difference in very small ways every day, whether it's, creating less waste or voting or getting involved in the political system or just educating yourself, on the issues that are out there. But if I could change one thing in one day, I would abolish centralized banking and bring back the gold standard.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I think
that'd be a big day.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to elaborate on the gold standard? Like, are you referring to do unto others as you do unto yourself?
Oh no, gold standard.
That's the golden rule.
That's the golden rule, and the golden rule would be a good one to bring back as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, you think so, hey?
But for people who might not be familiar with the gold standard, what the gold standard was before there was centralized banking. You used to be able to exchange your bank notes for gold.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but
No, that's right.
so $1 was actually worth $1 worth of gold, and so on and so forth, so that the actual currency had weight, and it had something to back it up by. Nowadays, if you're familiar with centralized banking and all of that, basically money is illusory, and it doesn't really hold weight if So I would give it some value again, make...
Even then, though, I'm curious how the gold, like, because gold is sort of just like, trade as well, right? Like, gold doesn't actually have any real value. It used to. People thought it was like, the most important thing, but...
It's a precious metal. I mean, it's still used
Make
in a lot
computers out of it.
Yeah, a lot of electronics. I bet you some of the stuff that we're using right now has gold in its circuitry and whatnot. So, gold still does have a lot of relevance and and value. Yeah, man. I would take some gold chains. If anybody has some gold chains they want to donate, you can send them to what's
Three Guys with Ideas.
If you have gold that you do not value, send them to 3 Guys with Ideas, please.
It sounds like you don't value your money. You can send that to me.
Hey man, all my money's electronic online anyway, so we all know what hackers can do there.
That's true.
Well, the good thing with the gold standard too is if you were a loaner, a money lender, you had to have the actual gold to lend the money. Whereas now people are being put into debt where the banks have lost nothing. Mm-hmm. They just change their little computer program, or for lack of a better term, metaphorically print their own money to lend out, which is why we have horrible recessions and depressions, because the money just doesn't exist.
Yeah, did you? I don't know the facts about it too much, but there was a story that came out about the Pentagon creating money for their for their systems and for what they were trying to do, and they created some hundreds of billions of dollars.
Oh, I went down it.
Yeah, it's just out of thin air. They didn't have it. They just needed it. And so, that can happen, obviously. It's just numbers, right?
Well, and to bring it to Canada, basically what happened with our banking systems, we have the Central Bank of Canada, which at any time will give a loan to the Canadian government at no interest. And the lobbyists for the financial industry got a hold of politicians here, and instead of taking that free loan from the Central Bank of Canada, we took loans at interest from the big banks, and that's complete and just utter stupidity. But I guess we're talking about the U.S., but that's a topic for another day. But if I was to change anything in the U.S. in my one day of rulership, first I'd marry Liv Tyler. But
this is how Rob would spend his one day.
My one day.
He would just have a really nice.
Liv Tyler.
He'd have a really nice wedding.
It'd be a great party. I think I'll steal a line from my favorite show, Boston Legal, where Denny Crane asked the exact same question to Alan Shore, and Alan Shore said, "To start my day, I'd get rid of every store with the name Mart in it." And I think that'd be a good place to start. I think these big box stores that squeeze their suppliers for every penny they have, they squeeze their employees for every hour they have to give, they're just not helping anybody. And you get rid of those big box stores, it can go back to the best service, the best product gets my business. Whereas it's hard. I think we all shop at Walmart. If I need a cooler, for my beers at the lake, Walmart's going to be a hell of a lot cheaper than going to. I don't even know. Do we even have a cooler maker here in BC? I guess GoFundMe would be the only place to get that type of stuff. But yeah, get rid of the Walmarts, the Kmarts. We'll include Target in that. Those big stores.
So many people are going to be hating on you. They love their Walmart. it's like a religion. It's a culture in some parts of the States, I've heard.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, though. I think most people would agree, even people who do shop at Walmart, that it's not fair that people are getting below minimum wage. It sounds like in the U.S., too, it's 71% of people believe there should be a higher minimum wage.
Yeah.
Which, so I think everyone's on the same page there, really. It's just they want their quality goods for no cost, and I do, too. So, the problem I have with that is you get rid of them, but then another one will just surface. How do you then stop that from happening again?
Well, I only got one day, Caitlin. But there used to be monopoly laws, and there used to be things like this that protected consumers, and they just got slowly one by one got washed out. And I don't know if you guys know this, but the way a lot of these laws get trashed out or new laws get passed is they get hidden amongst other laws. So take the time and research, but like there'll be a great bill that gets brought to the Senate that's like, we want to pay teachers more money. And then on page like 397 of that bill, there's one paragraph that's like, we're also going to allow Walmart to, pay their employees like whatever, or like, or allow corporations to, have their tax loopholes. And they'll just hide that in bills that have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And of course our politicians, it's like, I'm surprised if they can even read, but they sure as hell don't read 700-page bill. And they just get told by their lobbyist groups and support groups, here's some money, say yes to this bill. And they're like, okay. So, but we would have to burn all the bills that allow the marts of the world to be as big as they are. But yeah, that's what I would change. So I guess let's not steal a thumbs up or thumbs down. Like, out of a 5-star ranking, like, did Michael Moore's movie have 1 star's worth of good ideas, or did it have 5 stars?
If we're like ranking it on ideas, I don't think it really had any. Right? Like there wasn't really any ideas. It was just
You're
like
giving it our first official movie ranking. You're going to start off with a 1-star idea.
I was saying they didn't have ideas. It was just like a recollection of events. But like in terms of entertainment value, I was entertained. I feel like when I watch Michael Moore movies, it almost feels like a little bit propaganda. Like there was a couple scenes in that movie where Michael Moore is sort of creating his own narrative. The scene with the water where he approaches like, Congress or whatever, and he's like, hey, will you drink this water? And they're like, well, no, we don't know where this came from. And he's like, well, it's your tap water. And they're like, well, we don't know that. You're just bringing us a random glass of water. I'm not going to drink that. So, pushing his own narrative that way, I think is kind of silly. And then like, doing things like taking all the water and putting it on the guy's lawn. Like, come on. But I mean, that's Michael Moore for you. That's classic Michael Moore. Yeah. And it's entertaining, but kind of, ridiculous. It's not really helping at all. It's really just creating more of a divide between people. So that's kind of frustrating to me. I give the movie a 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5?
3 out of 5.
Yeah, that's fair. As far as like ideas go, like Kaylin said, I don't really know if it presented any new ideas as far as like how to solve these issues and problems. It kind of just makes light of what's actually going on. It did teach me a few things. There was a few things that I learned throughout the movie, so I'll give it a 3 stars as well out of 5. It's not his best movie, but it does kind of give us a good indication of what needs to change and where things are headed. So, right on.
Yeah, I would say, for me, like, you're right. Michael Moore has his shticks, like, in his other movies, like he was against the Westboro Baptist Church, so he showed up with a bus full of gay dudes, and they did all kinds of activities on the driveway of the Westboro Baptist Church.
What kind of
makes you laugh, right?
What kind of activities? I haven't seen this. I don't think, Robert. Could you?
Yeah, can you paint me a picture?
I'm just needing,
Yeah,
like were they playing Twister, having board games?
Yeah. You will say
you could call it Twister.
They were playing Twister. Yeah. For ideas, I think this movie, and I'm a little more educated surrounding this movie because I watched about 5 interviews of Michael Moore before the movie came out, and watched him on Bill Maher and stuff like that talking about it. He's essentially saying in the movie that like it's almost too late. And even at the end of the movie, at the end of every one of these movies, he does a really serious call to action that's actually kind of inspiring. I walked out of some of his movies ready to like pick up a picket sign and join the fight. But this one, he started that call to action, and then he just cut it off as if saying like it's too late. And so I wasn't a big fan of that. But again, there's too many topics in it to really like, what are you calling us to action for? So yeah, I would give this Michael Moore movie, based off all of his other amazing work, this is probably his worst in my opinion. So 2-star idea from me.
Ooh,
Yeah.
even lower.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You know, another thing too is like, if you said you watched a lot of interviews leading up to this movie, I did too. Like, not a lot, but like, for example, on Colbert, I think a lot of the talk was about him and his interview with Trump, because he says that he went to the White House and he actually engaged with Donald Trump. This is something that they talked about a lot leading up to this movie, and there was nothing about that. So I wonder what happened there. Like, they never, like, maybe he wasn't allowed to, but I was looking forward to seeing him like duke it out with Donald Trump. You know, like that would have been fun. So I don't know, man. There was a lot of things I was expecting to be in this movie that weren't.
Yeah, I find, you know, Michael Moore is, well, his brand is he's a lot of bark, but as far as the bite goes, you know, he's good at showing up with his cameras, but I think he feels his mission is to educate, and he wants somebody else to pick up the picket signs or pick up the banner and go. And nothing against him. He's doing a hell of a lot more than, 99% of the people out there. But, this just felt like he hadn't done a documentary in a while. And I think it just represented his just frustration with everything going on in the U.S. And I think like a lot of Americans, he's ready to either give up or hunker down for a long fight. So, yeah.
I will say that, I did appreciate, anytime I see any type of film or anything where I thought it was just going to be hating on Republicans the whole time. The fact that he like went back spiraled into like what Obama did wrong it's a class move, I think. It didn't feel like it was just one-sided at that point. He's clearly stating that he thinks the Democratic Party is out of control as well. And that's a really good point to make. So,
well, that's the one good thing about him is he, like, even in his previous movies, he's not, like, he's far left. Like, as far as his viewpoints, he's leftist. Him and Bernie Sanders are probably, like, close in how they view things. But he is anti-Democratic National Party.
Yeah.
Like, they lie, cheat, steal, manipulate as bad as the Republicans do. But they hide behind, the whole, like, liberal leftist way of thinking.
The good ideas.
The good, like, some of the good ideas. Yeah. So, yeah. Any last thoughts on Michael Moore's 11-9? No?
I got nothing. No.
Yeah. Well, if you listen to this, watch it. Give us your thoughts. I'll probably watch it again. I watch all of his movies a few times. It'd probably be a good movie to watch alongside of, like, have a Michael Moore day, watch Capitalist Love Story, watch Sicko, watch this one.
I'm down.
Yeah. It'd probably be better as, part of the whole than just a single part.
Also, the one thing we didn't touch on, and if you're a teacher, keep fighting the good fight.
Yeah. I did learn that. Yeah, the teachers, they got some work done, but holy hell, to fight that hard for a 5% raise. Like, those teachers are making, like, what, like $35,000? Maybe 35,000, and 5%, like they're gonna get taxed half of that 5% anyway. So they have to go to extreme lengths, face jail time to get an extra $20 a check in their pocket.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Brutal.
That's crazy. All right, well, let's talk about something that obviously way more people care about. Eminem and Machine Gun Kelly, who I didn't know who the hell that was until like 3 days ago when this whole beef started.
Yeah, it started on Labor Day. Well, I guess actually it started before that when Kamikaze was dropped, the album by Eminem, and he decided to diss a bunch of other rappers out there, primarily mumble rappers, of which he's actually calling Machine Gun Kelly, which I don't understand at all.
Okay, explain to me and Martin, who are not as hip, what is a mumble rapper?
Mumble rapper? You've seen it. The people who talk about like money, sex, all those things, but it's just the same few words, and like you barely understand what they're saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like they're literally, it feels like they have a hand over their mouth while they're talking, and you can't tell, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like they're mumbling, man.
Yeah. And like, I'm with them. I'm so glad that there's a movement against it, because I never, like, a lot of my friends are into it, and I'm like, I just can't understand what they're saying. And like, what is the skill? What is the talent that they have?
You sound like my mom when she listens to an Eminem song. I just can't understand what he's saying.
I know, but it's true. I think most people would agree that you can't really understand what mumble rappers are saying, and like, a lot of it doesn't seem very like talent driven either. Like, really what you're listening to it for is like the beat, but they don't produce the beats. That's their producer. So what is this rapper doing, right?
Well, he's mumbling to the
Exactly. It's just
it's like scatting, you know.
I think maybe what it is as you get older, maybe your eardrums aren't able to hear that frequency that the younger people are able to hear. So you don't get it just because you're old and you're not hip like that anymore.
Are you saying
know.
like 34 was the cutoff for me? I officially I can't like new rap.
Well, no, you can't understand it.
No,
Dude, no one can understand it. You can literally have the captions out and still be like, wait, did he really say that? Or is someone just interpret like, who does these captions? Like, most people would agree, I think, that it's pretty ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool to see Eminem sort of going back and saying like, we need to get these mumble rappers out of this because, you know, Eminem is a lyrical genius. He is, and you know, so it's it's cool to see him kind of hating on that.
All right, so give us the Cole's notes. They're fighting, so they're singing songs at each other. So what's going on with this beef?
Yeah, well, so yeah, I guess in the Kamikaze album when it dropped, he was hating on Machine Gun Kelly. People were assuming that it was because of a tweet that he put out in like 2010 or something, like quite a few years ago, where Machine Gun Kelly put a tweet out that said that he thought Haley was really hot, Eminem's daughter. And at the time, if I'm not mistaken, Haley was 16 years of age. So Eminem took offense to that, ended up kicking him out of Shade 45, which is like, you know, one of Eminem's stages where a lot of people get together, a lot of rappers get together. So he got kicked out of that. There was like a demand for public apology to Machine Gun Kelly, and Machine Gun Kelly was like, well, fuck that. So yeah, it became this whole thing. And then finally, it's like now 6 years later, Eminem decides to diss him in his newest album. And Machine Gun Kelly took offense to that, put out a video on Labor Day. It was like a 7-minute, diss track, complete diss track. And then now Eminem has responded with his own. And that's sort of the cliff notes of what's happened so far.
Okay, well, I listened to both last night, and the whole reason we're talking about this topic is because I personally feel this is a publicity stunt by two rappers to sell more records, get more views, whether they hate each other or not is, I would say it's convenient. It's good to have some hate because, it's all it's going to do is sell more records and get people listening because you all know any publicity is good publicity, right?
Totally, yeah.
Well, in Hollywood, yeah, that's what I've heard them say. What brought you to this idea that it might just be a publicity stunt there, Robert?
Because I think it's all crap. I think we get spoon-fed in the mainstream media and industry what to like, what to think, what's going to sell records. And like, even if Eminem's new album made, let's say something crazy like, $1 million a day, if the rich producers, the guys at the very top, could make $1,000,005 a day by highlighting a little bit of a beef or something like that, like, they're going to do it. They want every penny out of the people who are buying this stuff. So it's not a bad thing. Like, you always got, like, in every situation, you got to look at, is somebody benefiting from this? And Eminem and Machine Gun Kelly, even in Eminem's song or his rap or diss track, back to Machine Gun Kelly, he says this is the biggest you're gonna ever be. Enjoy it. Like, he's even calling it out that because of this is the biggest Machine Gun Kelly is ever gonna be, and it is because here we are, three white dudes with ideas sitting in Canada. I had no clue who this guy was, Machine Gun Kelly, before this week. When I think you guys are more into the music scene than I am, but maybe. It got me talking about it, and it got me to listen to a song of a rapper I didn't even know existed. So it has to be working, right?
Yeah, I think absolutely it's working. It's it's probably making money. It's getting publicity, so it's working. Either way, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's not a bad thing. You're getting people talking about it, and now everybody who hasn't heard these songs before is probably going to go listen to them just to figure out what the hell we're talking about. But I think you bring up some good points that maybe this thing is not so hate-filled and more profit-filled. I don't know. Dude. Just because, if I'm not mistaken, what record labels are they both on?
Yeah, and I think they're both on Interscope. Right? So, yeah, and you were talking about that. They do have different, you know, obviously Eminem's got like Dre who produces his stuff, and I think it's just Dre now. He used to have another guy as well, and then for Machine Gun Kelly, it's P Diddy, I think. So that is different. And this is my thing, is like, you know, yeah, maybe you have, you know, your producers behind you saying, hey, this is going to make both of us more money. Like, go ahead. But I don't think Eminem or Machine Gun Kelly are going to listen to the higher ups. They're just going to do their own thing. You know, I don't think they're going to be controlled by these guys who want to make more money. They're going to do whatever they want. And so I don't think it's reasonable to think that. These guys hate each other. These guys definitely hate each other. So if there's someone in the back of the scenes making more money off of these guys hating each other, then that's great. But I don't think they're the ones pulling the strings. You know, I think that they're just really frustrated with each other, and they're making diss tracks, and I think it's good for the scene for sure. It's going to make more money for them. But hey, man, I like listening to rap battles, so you know, more power to them.
So it's interesting that you bring that up. You know, Dre and P Diddy, the whole East Coast West Coast thing that, you know, we knew back in the day. There was that really big rivalry, you know, between those two scenes. I wonder if it might be anything like that reviving itself, or, you know, if it might be some authentic bad blood going on.
They're pretty close. It's like he's from Chicago, and then Eminem's from Detroit.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty close. That's what he says in his rap song. Right? He's saying, like, you know, single dads from the Midwest. Let's talk about it, right? Like, they're both sort of there. That's his point. He's saying, like, why don't we just sit down and have a conversation instead of like diss on each other. Which is kind of weird, because he says directly in one of his interviews, they're like, would you have a conversation with Eminem? And he's like, nope, no, I would not. He's missed his chance. Like, there's no way I'm talking to this guy. We're going to have it out. We're duking it. I'd rather scrap, you know?
Nobody wants to see them sit down and have tea and crumpets.
No, no, please don't do that. Please keep making diss tracks.
You know, they're doing what they do best, and, you know, they're using their artistry to get their frustrations out. You know, I can understand that and appreciate that, and, you know, hopefully maybe they resolve their bad blood, but we'll see where this goes.
I believe Taylor Swift sang a song about bad blood. Oh wait, and she had a feud with Katy Perry. Like, and guess what that did for both of their careers? Skyrocketed them too. So.
Well, bottom line, you know, publicity is always good for these people, and so.
Well, maybe not though. I mean, yeah, sure, people are definitely talking about Eminem, but I think people would agree that people were going to talk about Eminem no matter what. So he's really like exploded Machine Gun Kelly's career. So it's all, and he's talked about it in his interviews with like Sway, that he's like really struggling with this idea of, you know, giving this guy publicity, because he wants to like battle back, and he wants to diss him back, and he doesn't want to just take it, and he wants to show that, you know, he's willing to fight. But do you do that when you know it's going to give this guy like millions of new fans and sell millions of new albums, right? That's a hard thing to battle with. Would you do it? No, you're on top. Do you need to talk about the guy who's like, you know, 10,000 tiers down below you?
Well, yeah, sure. Why not?
If it's personal.
If it makes him makes like the other guy a couple million, and it makes me a couple tens of million, then why the hell not?
Yeah, I guess so.
Like, I'm not saying it's wrong. I just think that they love this. Like, producers, you know, maybe not the producers, but like the management team, the people who, you know, are selling this product, love this. Love it, love it, love it. So, I don't know.
Well, then why not keep it going? Because neither of them said they're going to. Do you think they will? Eminem said he's done. Machine Gun Kelly says no.
Well, you get that stupid picture at the Fall Out Boy concert where... So he opens for Fall Out Boy, right? Like, this is how much of a kind of a bitch this guy is. He opens for Fall Out Boy. So these are Fall Out Boy fans. They're not Machine Gun Kelly fans. Maybe like one of 20 is there for him. Yeah. But like, not many people go to shows for the opening act.
People still go to see Fall Out Boy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But like, so he opens up, and he has the Kill Shot t-shirt on. Yeah. The logo that Eminem used. Yeah. And he doesn't show the fans that. He's wearing a hoodie. And so he asks all the fans in the stadium to throw up the middle finger. And then he turns and puts his back to the fans, takes off the shirt, and gives the middle finger, and gets this epic picture of what looks like about 20,000 fans all flipping Eminem off with Machine Gun Kelly standing on stage. That is a bitch move. They don't know what they're doing. And like, you guys have all been to big shows. Like, you turn into like anything they tell you to do from stage. Like, let me hear you scream. You scream.
Mob mentality, yeah.
Oh yeah, man, mob mentality. So, it sounds like this guy partially rode the coattails of Eminem to get to where he is. He's riding the coattails of this fake or non-fake feud, and now he used the coattails of opening for a way better band and used their fans to send another diss towards Eminem. And those fans had no clue who they're flipping off. Not that, like, if you would have told them, they might have done it anyway. But I just think it's foolishness. Maybe I'm just too old.
It's brilliant. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Obviously, it's very underhanded. And Eminem's fans and Eminem were very quick to point out that. And, you know, there's funny things happening too, like the boos on that video. Like, that was actually doctored. They found out that was just edited in. And, like, if you go to his Wikipedia page, like, for that Rap Devil video on Wikipedia, it's got, like, a ghostwriter written in, which apparently is just edited by some random fan, allegedly, right? So they're both trying to change the narrative here. It's not just Machine Gun Kelly. Like, and who knows if it's Eminem or his production team, or if it's just, like, random fans, because I think Eminem fans are pretty diehard, right? So it's hard to say, but, like, they're both trying to change the narrative. I mean, it's brilliant for both of them. It is, right? Like, it's just going to continue this feud going on, and now it's not even in rap songs. It's just, you know, random publicity. So, I mean, it's brilliant is what it is.
Well, I'll tell you, as somebody who used to buy CDs all the time and support my favorite artists, the only thing I spend on music now is my $10 a month subscription to Google Music. So they can do whatever they want, and if they make money off me because of this, fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, I'm entertained.
I'm not gonna buy their albums.
No.
You know, but
No.
yeah, I don't know. That's anything else to add on this topic?
Well, who won? That's what I want to know. Who do you think won? Did you like Rap Devil or did you like Killshot better?
I think Rap Devil being the first song I ever heard from this guy. It was fine. It was good. I could understand what he was saying. He wasn't mumbling.
Right? So this is the thing, too. This is what people are talking about. Because, like, in this Killshot, Eminem calls him a mumble rapper twice. And everyone's like, come up with some insults that make sense. Because, like, this guy's definitely not a mumble rapper.
Well, I don't understand. In the music video, he was eating a bowl of what looked like Fruit Loops.
Yeah.
Like, why was he doing that? Like...
Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah, he was just holding a bowl of Fruit Loops and, like, rapping to Eminem.
He was hungry, obviously, man.
Having a snack?
It was an early morning shoot. Come on now, you gotta.
This is the metaphor for, like, I really, like, this is so minor to me. Like, I wrote this rap in 2 days, and I'm just over breakfast rapping it to you. Like,
I don't know. It
probably
has some significance.
Yeah, like, there's a lot of things you can miss very easily in that video. So it's something I didn't pick up on. I watched a lot of other people talk about it. I didn't see anyone talk about that either. But there's definitely some significance to it, right? This is what happens. The same thing that people are still unpacking Killshot from Eminem as well. And there's, like, things in there that you would never have actually picked up on until someone else talks about it. So, you know, like, this is how good these rappers are. They have, like, so much significant meaning in their songs.
Well, I'll give it to Eminem because Eminem has provided me with more entertainment over the years, and yeah, honestly, this Machine Gun Kelly, it's probably going to be the first and last song I ever listen.
Yeah. I probably won't listen to him after this either. But what do you think? Who won?
Man, I'm gonna be Switzerland on this one. I'm not choosing a side. I'm just gonna go neutral on this because I think both of them are, you know, talented rappers and they're talented artists, and, you know, I appreciate what Eminem has to say, and, you know, I like what Machine Gun Kelly has to say as well. I think they both have skill, so, you know,
Are you just scared a diss track is going to be made about
No.
you? Machine Gun Kelly?
No,
These three guys with ideas, like...
no, it's you know, I don't like to get in the middle of feuds and fights and pick sides and things like that. But, you know, like I said, I think they're both talented musicians, and, you know, why not listen to both of them?
Totally. Personally, I think Eminem lost this one. I didn't think Killshot was all that great. I didn't like a lot of the disses. Like, mumble rapper didn't make sense. Like, you know, they keep going back to this, like, age thing. Like, who cares? Personally, I'm just like, what? Okay, sure. Eminem is older than Machine Gun Kelly. Like, it just
Yeah, it's
really
like just
matter.
stating a fact.
Like, also the one line where he, like, is, like, criticizing the guy for doing math wrong because he's like, well, that was 4 albums ago, not 3. Like, come on, this is not what I want to. I want to hear, like, you know, this is about, like, this guy's background.
Eminem recorded a song where he, like, killed his ex and, like, threw it in a trunk, like,
Yeah.
you know, like, And like, you know, he's dissing the guy, you know, for math and.
I want to hear some 8 Mile shit, you know? Like, that's what I want to see. So I was very disappointed, very underwhelmed by Killshot. There was good lines, don't get me wrong, it was good, but I thought Rap Devil was way better. I thought Machine Gun Kelly definitely won this for sure. And he's been saying that he doesn't want to make another one. He said he had one prepared, and he was just like, I heard Killshot, and I was just like, forget it. So I don't know if that's true or not, but man, he really kicked ass in that video. It was a great track.
But at the end of the day, the stupidity of a guy who like knew Eminem, has listened to Eminem's lyrics, like the only thing Eminem like gives a shit about is his daughter. That's the only time he gets sweet on his songs. He says he's gonna break that birdie's neck if it didn't sing. You know, like Machine Gun Kelly should have been way smarter than to comment on a 16-year-old girl's looks whose dad is signing his paychecks. Like, that's stupidity.
Oh yeah, no, that's a stupid move. Totally agree. You can't call your 16-year-old daughter attractive on Twitter for the whole world to see and not expect Eminem to take offense to that. Like, just a stupid move. And maybe he was trying to just create a feud. Maybe that was where that was started. You know?
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be surprised if Rap Devil was sitting there for 5 years just waiting for Eminem to diss him back. You know, like he probably had that like coming for a long time. So yeah, I think he was just trying to create drama.
It's all premeditated.
A little bit.
Don't fall for it.
Hey man, if you're the little guy, the best thing you can do is try to go for a top dog and get some publicity, right? So, I mean, from his standpoint, it sounds like a pretty smart move.
How old is Haley now? Like she's like.
Well, this is
20s?
6 years ago. So she's probably like 22, 23, something like that.
Could you imagine having Eminem as your dad?
They keep it under wraps pretty well. Like she's pretty hidden. You know, she doesn't really come into the public eye very often, but man, she is freaking attractive.
She's not trying to rap or anything?
She is a beautiful girl.
Dude, don't say that. I don't want Eminem to do the diss track on us.
She's old enough now, man. She's old enough.
Kalen's ideas, not ours.
That is a Kalen idea.
Direct all of your negative comments towards him.
Well, you know what? You gotta respect Eminem's chivalry for, you know, standing up for his daughter. And you know what? That's a good segue into our next topic here. With
See what you did there?
Yeah, see what I did? See? Yeah. You gotta drive in. You know, they're called transitions, boys. Transitions.
He's done his homework, guys.
Our next and last topic for this podcast is chivalry. Is it dead? Is it sexist? Do girls like it? We live out here on the west coast of Canada, where the women are, you know, different than, you know, Alberta, where, you know, two of us are from, and holding doors or pulling chairs, paying for first dates. We got into a big argument. Should you pay for dates? So let's talk chivalry, boys. You know, well, who's been on the last date in the room?
Probably Martin.
Martin.
Martin's you got tattoos, you got the good-looking figure there.
I might have been on a date or two lately. I don't know. It's a hard call. I think really, honestly, it depends on the individual. You know.
Did you hold the car door open for?
Oh, she rode her bike, so.
Oh my god. Okay.
But yeah, you know, like I'm not opposed to holding a door open, or, you know, I think like. It's a difficult situation though, you know, because you want to respect that person. I mean, that you're out with, you know, and not cross their boundaries, it can be a difficult learning curve, and communication is key in that, I think. But you know, it really depends on the individual, you know, and how they're feeling that.
Did you pay?
Did I pay? Yes, I did.
But you paid because you wanted to pay. Right? You don't feel like you have to.
Did she reach for the check?
You know what? Honestly, I think like it was one of those awkward situations where it's like, and I think she was more than okay with me paying for things. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest. But
so she didn't reach for the check?
No, she didn't reach for the check.
Maybe you reached for it too soon.
No, there was that awkward silence there because we were like, you know.
Well, it's usually the waiter comes up and they're like, "Is this together?" Right?
Yeah.
What do you like? So what happens then?
That was the awkward silence.
Well, that's kind of the awkward.
Did you look at her and you locked eyes?
And then it was just like kind of one of those things where it's like, I guess I'll pay, and then she was like, "Okay, that's cool," and I was like, "All right." So I think, you know, to me, that's the whole difficult part about dating is, you know, those awkward situations. And that's why I'm, you know, not a fan of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
we can all agree dating sucks.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah. I went on, you know, 3 or 4 dates last year with 3 or 4 different girls, and I paid for all 3. Sadly, 3 of the dates were the exact same. Picked her up, went to the same restaurant. The service.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
which restaurant?
I went to the beach house. It's
Okay,
nice
nice.
view. You sit in the water. It's like quiet.
I've been there. It's a nice place.
Yeah, I took you on a date there.
Yeah.
You know?
A little mandate.
Yeah, we bro down.
Now he knows it's not special. What the hell, man?
Hey, it's always special. It's always special.
Aw.
But no, I fear that awkward silence. So I from my memory, I think I mentioned it sometime when it wasn't awkward throughout the day. Like, hey, this is my treat. Like, you know, just so you know, there was no question when the bill came. We didn't stare at each other awkwardly. It made it so she didn't have to reach for the check. Yeah. Like, would you feel weird if a girl paid for you?
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely not. I'm all about equality. So, you know, that's the difficult thing. I think, like, really the premise going into things is the important thing. Like, if you're on a date, you know, if you take somebody out, then, you know, I definitely have no problem. It's just kind of establishing, you know, what are you actually doing? You know, are you spending time together? Are you getting to know each other? Are you hanging out? You know, are you just, you know, getting through that awkward place before you go home and, you know, watch some Netflix and chill? You know, what are you actually doing there? And, you know, to me, that helps set the tone for how things go, and, you know, whether or not chivalry is applied. So
Yeah, well, I think that everyone still has the opportunity to be chivalrous, and like I think that's the thing. Is when it becomes expected, that's frustrating because it's not like you're doing anything special. It's just like a demand, and that's the one thing you don't want. You want it to mean something. You want it to be special, and you don't want it to come across as like, you know, oh well, she can't do it herself. You know, maybe she's not making enough to pay for this meal, or that, you know, that sort of thing. So it's a difficult balance. But personally, I do like paying for the girl. But you know, if I go on a date and it's maybe not going so great, you know, and I don't think I'm going to end up seeing them again, you know, am I going to pay for them? I don't know. Maybe then if it's not an expectation, you know, we can pay for our own meals, and yeah, maybe that's the way I look at it. And if I really like them and I want to see them again, maybe I go the extra mile and I pay for their meal.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. One thing I did learn is keep the first date a surprise, because if you commit to something, you got to go through with it. And I had a situation with a girl where, to be very polite, she misrepresented herself.
On a dating app?
Greatly.
People do that?
yeah, so this was on a dating app that you...
Yes, this was on a dating app that I used that involves swiping in directions. And the photos presented were like either brilliantly photoshopped or from 10 years ago.
Did you get catfished?
Oh, dude, it was brutal.
You got catfished, didn't you?
It was, you know, and like, I'm still a nice guy, but I had already told this girl over chat that I was going to take her to this cocktail bar called Clive's for a couple cocktails, and then up to this restaurant called Vista 18 for a meal. And if you guys know those two places,
pricey.
This was a $200 endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you know, if you say like it's a surprise, without hurting any feelings, without destroying a bank account, you can be like, oh, the surprise was we're gonna go get coffees at Serious Coffee and go walk along the beach and be in and out for under $15, and yeah.
You can do that. You can totally do that.
Yeah, but if you spill the beans, like I told her I'm taking her out for a fancy dinner.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I could just go to McDonald's after telling her fancy dinner.
Hey man, McDonald's is fancy for some people. You know, it's all about perspective.
Hey,
right?
she'll be surprised. Right?
Well, Martin, I do remember you one time back when we lived in Edmonton getting super excited that you figured out how you could take a girl on a date for under $10 for the both of you. And it was Costco hot dogs,
those are delicious.
the drinks, and the cheap movie theater. So dinner and the movie for under $10 for two of you.
Yeah, that's a tip for all my thrifty homies out there. You know what I'm saying? You can get it done on the cheap. You don't have to spend $200 like this fool to my left.
Yeah, $200 on the first date, probably not your best idea.
But I just want to like add something into there. Like chivalry doesn't have to be something that's applied to, you know, a dating situation or anything like that. The concept, I think, can be broadened out to there. You know, just like holding a door, or you know, you know, if there's somebody who's having trouble crossing a crosswalk or something, you know, like that, you can go out of your way to, you know, help somebody out, or you know, treat them well. And I don't know if that falls under the traditional definition of chivalry.
Well, chivalry is being knightly, being, you know, somebody who is a man or woman of honor, and doing the honorable thing, treating a woman or a man with honor.
Yeah, well, and like that's definitely the case. Like my father raised me that way. Every time, I always hated it when I was younger, but you know, every time a older lady or even just any lady would come on a bus, if we were sitting down, we have to get up and give our seats up, right? Like that's sort of chivalry. And you know, like even the other day, like when we were like, you know, going into that music shop trying to get a pop filter for this thing, hopefully it's okay. You know, we're holding doors open for people and just pay, like, you know, it's just the way you're raised. It's almost second nature. You don't even think about it. But some people don't do that. Some people, you know, it's all selfish. They don't care. They don't even think about it. So
well, on the flip side of that, like I did that exact same thing. Like I walked on the ferry and I get to the other side and I get on the bus and I got a seat, but it was a busy end. I know it's a 45-minute bus trek. And so this woman gets on the bus and she's, you know, middle-aged, like older than me, probably in her 40s. You know, I definitely made no indication that I was trying to hit on her or talk with her or get to know her. But I saw her get on, and I stood up and said, "Here, you can have my seat." And she gave me like the most foul look, like I'm fine, and like literally said nothing to me, and looked at me, and then turned away and stood there with her back to me for like what the hell is that?
yeah, and I
She
think
didn't take the seat?
She didn't take the seat.
And
And I had this awkward moment. The entire bus is staring at me. And as like a big guy, like I'm already, maybe I should be standing because I'm taking up, you know, a seat and a half. Maybe not, a seat and a third. But like, you know, I offered, you know, I just got up and said, "Hey, you can sit here." And she's just like, just pierced me with just like judgmental eyes. Like, how dare you? I can stand. Women can stand on the butt. Like,
Hey man.
Yeah.
You know, at least you got to sit that way. If she wants to stand for 45 minutes, that's on her.
that'd be my guess. But that is the flip side. And I haven't had this personally happen to me at all, but it's definitely stories I've heard from lots of my friends that it's like, you know, when they try to hold the door open for their girl, she's like, "I'm fine, thanks. I can do that myself." It's sort of like where we are in today's society, right? Where it's become this like push for equality, which is great. And feminist movements, sure, it's great. But, you know, it kind of totally transforms what chivalry really is meant to be.
right?
You know, people who say they're old-fashioned nowadays, that can be a bad thing. You know, and I don't like that. You know, I want to be able to hold open the door for her if I want to, and I want it to mean something. I don't want it to just be like a, you know, they think that they're weak and helpless or something. Like that's not what it's meant to be.
Yeah, and I think that's where it got lost is if your motives is to do something nice for somebody, to show honor to somebody, to do an act of service for somebody, and if it's being viewed as that person thinks I'm weaker than, or a woman or a man can't open their own door or get their own car door or pay for their own meal, like I think I would rather err on the side of it's nice to be honorable and want to do acts of services for other human beings. And even if you're not a big fan of it, if a guy does that for you, if you know a guy stops and he wants to help you change your tire or something like that, it's not an assumption of you can't do it. Just take it as wow, this other human being is you know being nice. So I don't know, but it's way different out here on the island, man. I'm telling you, it's a different world. Because in Alberta, like man, like they would expect, like there would be no question. They wouldn't reach for the check. They wouldn't do anything. Like you're like, you get my company, you're paying.
That's not the way it is.
Well, and that's the thing. It sounds like your experience is different, but when I've been on dates, the girls never really expected me to pay for them. No, usually we pay our own. I don't usually have that problem at all. I've never really experienced that, honestly. So maybe it's just different. Maybe it's just kind of random. But yeah, I feel like that's how it is here on the island. Like it's not like that in Alberta where they're not expecting it, which is great, and that's what I'd like. Yeah.
Maybe it's a cultural difference. I don't know. Different dating cultures around the world. What is dating like in your culture? Let us know in the comments section.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Do people pay for your dates? And do you think chivalry is, a good thing or not?
Yeah, if there's a guy in the comment section that said the girl pay for them, like, please, can we hear about that? Because
I had a girl pay for me by accident because I forgot my wallet, and it was the most awkward first date of my life.
So you didn't go second date.
Yeah, no, God.
Forgot his wallet. That's Rob's signature move. So if he asks you on a date and he forgets his wallet.
It was brutal. I made her. It was like my first week here. I made this poor girl drive all the way out to Sydney to my place because I didn't have insurance. Something was wrong. I couldn't take my car, and so she had to pick me up. And then we get to the coffee shop. We were gonna go for a walk on the beach. And I forgot my wallet, so she had to buy my coffee.
Oh,
and
brutal,
dude. It was, and the beach walk was just like she wanted to know nothing about me. Like I could tell she was counting down the seconds, and so I just kept asking her questions about her life because like you get taught like people like talking about themselves. I knew when she like pulled out of the driveway, like she did not look back. She was
just gone.
Yeah, and who knows? Like if I had paid, it could have been a similar result. But I just really came across like a big freaking loser.
Yeah, I wonder about that as well. Do you ever have that challenge nowadays where it's sometimes very difficult to have a conversation? Like I've had a couple of dates where that happens now where it's, I'm asking questions about them, but there's never any reciprocation. Like, sure, it's fine. I'll listen to you talk for 100% of the day. That's fine, I guess. But like, I want it to be a back and forth sort of thing. Like, do you have that challenge when you're on dates as well? Or
on the apps, 100% on like Tinder, and then when you like move to texting or Facebook Messenger, whatever, like however you're communicating at first, I have found the vast majority of the girls that I have interacted with, like, they'll say, "How are you?" And that's how they'll start a conversation, and then I'll never get asked a question again. So I'll ask them, like, "What did you do for your day? Like, where did you go for lunch? What are you, you're going to this thing tonight? Like, are you
done any traveling?"
Yeah, done it. Like, and it's all me asking questions, and like, all I want them to do is like, they can be lazy. They can just like put the letter U with a question mark, like. Where's the best place you've traveled? They tell me their whole story. Then just you question mark. As in like, what about you? But they don't do that. And I found it got really frustrating on with some of these girls where like they didn't even earn that first $200 freaking dinner date with me. Because like if you're not going to ask me any questions, I don't want to be anywhere in a room with you where we have to stare at each other and talk. Like that's, hell no. But yeah, that is a problem for sure.
Yeah.
What about you?
You know what? I just generally don't put much effort. I just like. let me finish that thought. I put in the effort when it counts, but it's reciprocating thing. You know what I mean? Like you feel somebody's energy, and if they're not putting forth that effort to get to know you, then I'm too fucking lazy, and I probably won't put forth that much effort to get to know you if you don't want to know me.
So are you comfortable with silence then? Because I guess that's my struggle. Is I'll just like, when there's silence for more than 10 seconds, I'm gonna take over the conversation. I'm gonna carry now, right?
No, I don't. That's too much effort, man. Carry a conversation. No.
It's a wonder the three of us at this table are all single. You don't like putting in the effort. I go too big too quickly with $200 meals.
And I don't go on dates at all. So.
Oh my god.
No.
We're three guys with bad ideas.
Three guys. That's the new name for the podcast. Three guys with bad ideas.
Maybe just this one. Episode 1, the bad ideas. Get out of the way. Oh. Well, man, I think that's a good place to wrap this up. Thanks for listening to episode 1 of Three Guys with Ideas. I'm Robert.
I'm Kalen.
And I'm Martin.
We're talking next time, guys.